Monday, everybody. Welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at the Dan Urban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges. And subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, everywhere.
Yeah, and familiarize yourself with those rules that Dan's going to tell you about. What are they? What are the things we always talk about? I forget.
The scoring criteria.
Scoring criteria. That one.
Yes. 3.5 pages. It's a long read. Read it.
Bring your bookmark just in case. Mm-hmm. We don't want you to lose your place. Dan, it has been a long, long day for me.
Yeah.
16 hours ago, I woke up on a World War II ship. Between then, I took 2 separate small naps, went to 2 separate youth wrestling practices, and worked a full work shift.
Kids are wrestling.
Kids are wrestling. Did I not mention this yet?
I did not know that.
The kids are wrestling.
That's awesome.
They, I was gonna boast about it, but instead, I'll be truthful here. Here's a funny little anecdote. My oldest son, who's in 3rd grade, I asked him, "So, what did you learn today?" And he said, "Well, we practiced takedowns and double eggs." I said, "Did you say double egg or double leg?" He said, "Double egg."
All right.
I was like, "No, it's a double leg." Or, he might have, I can't remember if it was egg or A. He might have said double A's. Whatever it was, it wasn't right.
Okay.
But I corrected him, and I explained why, to help him understand it's a double leg because you're going for both legs. Mostly, he spent the time just hanging out with his buddy doing their own version of the wrestling practice, which, hey, whatever. He's having some fun. He's hopefully doing a version of wrestling, which is fine. I'm not expecting to be raising the next Cael Sanderson here. Don't think that's in the cards, but I'd just be happy if he has a good time. And
if he
maybe builds a little core strength. That's really it. And he's enthusiastic about anything he does, so that's good.
Has fun with it. And he's like, you know what would be really cool? If I didn't give my back, I rolled to it and I triangled people and strangled them.
I'd be happy with it if he found that he kind of liked this kind of thing and that it made it easier when I finally do put him in jiu-jitsu. I'm not ready for the jiu-jitsu thing yet because I'm watching how wrestling's going, and that was a lot cheaper. and we don't have to pay that every single month from him. So we'll wait until I think he might be more into the actual events of the day and not make his own schedule.
Double legs on the basketball court are fouls.
Not if you're playing
that's true.
Dagestani basketball.
Yeah, if you're playing,
that is different. In fact, that's probably 2 points.
True. Yeah.
2.
It's actually like a legit sport.
That's my understanding. I didn't know that it was, and I think I've come to the understanding it kind of is.
So it's basketball. From what I'm seeing is one player is designated to go for like a takedown like per possession, I think.
Oh, is that what it is? There's one guy?
But to declare it, you have to take your shirt off before you do it. My algorithm from Instagram got all wild, and I stumbled a bunch of these types of videos. And every time before someone took someone down, they had to take their shirt off.
Okay.
And then they get them from behind, they suplex them.
Well, what happens when everybody runs out of shirts? Or do they put them back on?
I'm assuming they put them back on.
I was going to say, do they just all end up shirtless? And at the end, it's like, well, we used up all our takedowns.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Go figure. But yeah, so been a wild 16 hours for me. And what that means is the reason why I woke up on a World War II ship is I was on a Cub Scouts trip with my oldest, my 3rd grader. And so we stayed overnight at the Intrepid in New York.
That's a warship.
It was a warship. We learned that it was attacked by a kamikaze plane. We watched some morbid video where the guy explained that, hey kids, where you're all standing here, if you were standing here 80 years ago, you would be dead. I was like, well, this is great.
I actually came across videos of World War II kamikaze pilots crashing into ships.
Sure. Yeah, they're
recently.
Out there. Yeah.
I was like,
was this why you were doing MMA film study, or how'd this happen?
Former training partner posted something.
Gotcha. I'm interested in World War II. I'm always intrigued by World War II. It was cool to be on the Intrepid. Absolutely. We got to tour stuff. We saw a bunch of other things like a space shuttle was in there. And there was lots of cool stuff. But because I was there on Saturday night, gosh darn it, I missed the whole live fights of this highly anticipated fight night from the Apex.
It was the one to miss.
Yes, that was how I read it. But I did ultimately, once lights went out at midnight, oh my God, keeping all these kids up till midnight and then wake them up at 6:30. That was insane. But once the lights did go out, I went back and I watched the main event, and I, ultimately caught up with a bunch of the fights as well. I missed some of the fights still. I still have some things to fill in, but I've got everything we're going to talk about on today, which is nice. So I can say that I'm probably one of the very few people, if maybe the only one, who's ever watched UFC on the Intrepid.
Huh. I'm pretty sure they've had some boxing shows on the Intrepid.
Yeah, not the
Live
same.
shows.
Not the same.
Yeah, I suppose.
We're an MMA show.
Okay.
You don't even care about boxing when it's like the giant fights. What are you talking about boxing? Get out of here. Hit the road.
I was just saying combat sports. So they might have had a UFC event or MMA event. Sorry for the casual.
Sure.
Whatever.
Effing casual. But yeah, we are going to talk about that event, or at least parts of it, because hey, it's what we do, right?
It gave us some good stuff, actually.
For the show, I think absolutely.
For our show,
but even before
good.
we do that, Dan, we're coming off of a very intriguing week with regard to MMA regulation, rules, officiating, all that stuff, because the MMA Rules Committee met this week and passed 2 changes to what they will propose anyway for a vote at this year's ABC conference. 2 changes to the rules, one of which affects the grounded fighter definition. The other is to remove 12 to 6 elbows as an illegal strike.
Okay. Let me start real quick.
Okay, have at it, man. You go.
Why are we waiting until we go to Kentucky? Why are we waiting? Just everyone, all the ABC, everybody involved, get on a Zoom call, have the vote, put it in play as immediately. I don't understand the reason for waiting till July.
It's just the way they do it.
There's no need to.
I'm not saying there's no need to. I mean, I guess I understand what it really comes down to. Talking, because I did talk with Andy Foster after this passed. He gave me some time this week and we spoke about this. He does have to kind of go about explaining some of the changes to other regulators, maybe some that need to understand exactly what this is, get the word out so that people understand that when the time comes to vote, they don't have to do a whole lot of conjecture around it. They can literally just do the vote.
I mean, anyone who's watched the sport should be like, yeah, we should get rid of this.
For you're talking about specifically 12 to 6 elbow.
12 to 6.
Okay.
And grounded fighter. I mean, I guess Toronto was out of the loop completely last time they did this. So
they didn't even have the old one.
Maybe they should be, briefed on it. But
Andy is going to. He's talking with all the Canadian commissions. He's making his rounds. He's got appointments with tribal commissions, provincial commissions, state commissions, all these things. He's talking with everybody. He's really trying to get the word. He was on Ariel's show. The whole purpose was to get the word out. He was happy to speak with me for, again, the same reason, trying to get the word out. He's happy to do that. Just for argument's sake, or I might as well get the approved language out here on the show, and that is, quote, "A fighter shall be considered grounded and unable to be legally kneed or kicked to the head when any part of their body besides their hands or feet comes in contact with the canvas or ground." That is the language that we are attempting to get past, or the ABC is attempting to get past, the Rules Committee. In essence, it's been explained to me that this is more or less going to match the NFL's definition of when someone with the ball is down, right? Mm-hmm. So if the elbow touches, they're down. They put just their hand down, not down. Knee, down. 2 hands, not down. Mm-hmm. Not that people with football are putting 2 hands down. That would be impressive.
That would be.
Where are they holding the ball? That's what I'd like. Stuck in their helmet, like David Tyree.
You know what? I've seen it because cornerbacks are not used to carrying the ball, so they always carry it very carelessly. It drives me nuts.
Oh, so maybe they would put the ball down.
That 4 point.
But they would be not downed.
Right.
So when I look at this and I hear that explanation, it seems like it's going to be a much easier thing to enforce. And then also a more natural flow of the fight, the way things happen, because how often are we really seeing in practice a fighter has their hand down and they're kind of grounded, right? A lot of times it's placed there kind of by choice, right? Like playing the game, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I love that the fact that we had this week, and we can still talk about the rule a little bit here, but it does segue so perfectly into this week's main event. Mm-hmm. Between Nassourdine Imavov and Roman Dolidze, because Roman Dolidze played the game every chance he got, and it even drew a foul at one point. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, thank God this will be one of the last few times likely that this is going to happen, because it does sound like both of these rules are just going to pass. it's not necessarily a foregone conclusion, but there's a lot of confidence on the part of Andy Foster, who, seems to be reading the room, right?
Mm-hmm. What's the quote? Play stupid game, win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
I mean, so instead of a beautiful finish, it would have been a finish, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
We get a guy who loses a point.
Well, to be fair,
So-
if the rule was what it was, he wouldn't do that anymore.
Maybe.
Well, okay.
Maybe.
Fair enough, because as we know, fighters don't always know or abide by the rules. So maybe he still does it. But in theory, he's not supposed to be doing that anymore because it won't protect. There's
Thank
no
you.
need to
Yeah,
do it
there's-
anymore. And that's the only reason he did it, was to ground himself. And he did it many times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Imavov was dumb to throw the kick when he did, because he looked and he's like, yeah, all right, I'll throw it.
Almost got him DQ'd
It
because
was
he wanted to fight Chris Curtis in the corner.
Oh my God, it was ridiculous. I couldn't believe that. I was like, what are you doing, guy? You're literally like on your way to a total win here, and you're just trying to give the bag away as best as you possibly can. But yeah, so it was just crazy to see in practice why we need to get rid of this thing, because it's not natural. When Dolidze is doing this at every turn in this fight, it's not natural. He is interrupting the flow of the fight. And it was a little frustrating to see it go on that way, because Herb Dean in particular has said before, he's allocated before, he's like, I know when someone's playing the game, right? And someone's actually doing it. And I have to think he knew that Roman Dolidze is playing the game here. He's not down because of a reason he's got to get up for. He's just got his hand down because he knows it protects him from a tough situation. And it would have been, I'll offer a little, I guess it's some criticism here, because I don't think Herb Dean should have allowed that to continue. It's not, it goes against the spirit of the rule, right?
Yeah.
I
So
think.
what would that fall under timidity?
I don't know if that's what it is.
Well, what would be the foul though?
Yeah, well, that's I guess that is the question. So, in essence, I would have to be able to explain why that. So maybe Herb does not necessarily deserve criticism, but like, this is exactly the reason we need to get rid of this thing. It's when it comes down to it, maybe Herb is really not at fault here. So I'll walk that back. But this is exactly why we need to get rid of it. It was just a perfect reminder at the perfect time. Like, get this thing out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I still wish they could just go all the way and just say, hey, if you're on your back, you're down. Or if you're on your butt, you're down. That's it. Or just allow ground knees and kicks. Even better.
That would be best case.
But this is
good.
This is a positive step. I don't see a whole lot of ways for this to go errant and wrong. Like, we may still have situations where like someone puts a knee down, but it's like, you know what? At least you're really down if your knee is down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a different thing. Like Aljo had his knee down, right? In the fight against Jan.
Yeah.
That was not. Could you argue he put himself down? Yeah, but the hand doesn't matter. His knee is down.
No, I'm saying he hammed it up a little bit.
He did ham it up,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to go there, but
I think he's alluded to that a little bit.
I don't know how much he wants to go into that, but
unless he's just leaning into what everyone's
I think he
saying.
might just be leaning into it. I mean, look, who knows? Because everyone I spoke to from that camp said he was not right the whole night.
It looked like a bad hit.
Ray Longo said like he was not right that night, too. And Ray's a straight shooter.
Yeah.
Ray is a straight shooter. I don't think he's gonna make stuff
Yeah.
up. I don't think he tolerates that. Even from his own guys, I really don't think he would. So I don't know. I'll take them at their word for now. Until someone says otherwise, right? But as I wipe off dust from
I
the computer,
appreciate
you see
that,
me doing
yeah.
that?
Yeah, I
Dan's computer is covered in dust. I'm sitting on the other side of it, so like every once in a while, I'm just like brushing dust off briefly. Neither here nor there, right? But yeah, at least in that situation, his knee really was down. That is a grounded foe. I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
You should be fine with that too.
Yeah,
for
I'm good
where
with
we
that.
are right now.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get tired of it and say, okay, let's start moving the bar a little closer to just letting these happen. But this is good. I'm happy with it. And as far as those 12-6 elbows, God, even though it doesn't happen too often, as Andy Foster brought up, it's like this is not really something that comes up in a lot of fights. It is preventive, and they don't always have to be reactive with their stuff. And a lot of this was reactive, right? Changing this rule was reactive because it was a problem every week in a lot of fights, big, small, wherever, anywhere. Here with the 12-6, it's not very frequent, but it's just, why do we need it to be? Just get rid of it so it's not a problem later.
So I saw a clip of Big John telling a story of Herb Dean refereeing, and some guy was on his back, and he was doing what would be 12-6 if the clock was on the ceiling.
Sure.
But that's not illegal, and I guess Herb called it illegal. And he said, well, John, if the clock's on the ceiling, it's 12-6. He goes, and John's like, when the F have you ever seen a clock on the ceiling? So I guess that's where the clock doesn't move comes from. So it's really ceiling to floor.
Yeah. But either way, it's always been a dumb rule. You know, we always hear Joe Rogan's explanation. It's the guys were afraid of people breaking bricks and they saw that and they got in there. I have no idea if that's exactly what it was or not. You never know if some things are just lore and things like that. I think we know by now Joe Rogan sometimes just talks.
If this one, if this one doesn't pass unanimously, I don't know.
I feel like it's gonna happen. I think this is a key step, getting it over the hump. And I'm very glad. I'm glad to see it.
I'm excited for someone to throw a bionic elbow and pay tribute to Dusty Rhodes in the middle of a fight.
Oh man. But anyway, that's I don't have anything more to add on those rules other than, you know, I'm excited for when we can finally say they're done. It's big steps about small things that come up in big spots, right? Mm-hmm. I'm glad to see it. To get back over to especially Imavov fight, that one with the foul that happened in round 4, like we said, right? The grounded, it was a kick that lands, right? This wasn't even the only foul of the night that was like prominent. We had 2 others. One fight ended prematurely as a result. Another, honestly, I thought the first of these 2 was worse. The one in the heavyweight fight between Jamal Pogues and Thomas Peterson. 3rd round, Pogues gets poked. Nasty. It was not intentional, of course.
So it's a bad poke. My problem is it was from the thumb.
Sure.
And I don't know any kind of glove that would prevent a thumb.
Sure.
So
that's fair. That's sometimes incidental things happen, but how rare is the thumb?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
you know,
it was bad.
Stuff sucks, right?
Yeah,
it just is what it is. I think honestly, I really just want to see fouls taken, points taken for things like that. I know it's not intentional, right? It's not like Peterson said to himself, "Let me poke this guy in the eye," or "Let me be a little reckless with my thumb here." It was incidental with the thumb, like pushing on his shoulder. It wasn't even like the distance, fingers out kind of thing. It was a very freak thing. Having said that, in a basketball game, nobody's really trying to hack them to death, especially a good shooter.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you foul them, and the penalty is they either get the ball out of bounds or they get to shoot free throws. Well, actually, because it's shot, it would always be free throws. So, it's frustrating to see that we can't just say the same thing. A fighter was damaged and diminished because he was poked in the eye. 100% Pogues is diminished.
Yeah.
No question.
Mm-hmm.
Take a point. That's what you do. And we don't see it enough. And I don't even fault the particular referee here, who was a new referee as far as I could recall. I forget the name.
Eric McMahon.
Eric McMahon, thank you. I'm not as familiar with him.
I'm not either.
But hey, welcome to Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he's been working in Nevada at smaller shows. I have no idea. But again, I didn't get the chance to look into him. But nonetheless, it's not his fault. It is a problem that I have with officiating on the whole, where we just allow these harsh warnings or warnings and warnings after warnings. Just take the point. You can do it. I know it's at your discretion, but this isn't like, oh, he grabbed the fence too many times, or oh, it was a low kick that just kind of drifted in a little bit, bothered him for a little while, but he was fine. This is your eye, dude. Come on, take a point.
Yeah, I think it all stems from them saying, "Oh, a point in a 3-round fight is huge."
Tough break,
but
tough break.
I'm saying that's where it all comes from.
No, you're right. So. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm not. I don't mean to poo-poo the idea. But I think it's time we start policing this more. So, it's not going to fix the problem. It's just we're penalizing it right. Just penalize it appropriately. That's all.
I got a question now.
What do you got?
Obviously, fighter couldn't continue after an eye poke. Should that be no contest or DQ?
Right, so the fight you're talking about, Aliaskhab Khizriev and Mahmoud Muradov. Muradov couldn't continue. He was poking the eye. And he has an eye poking pass too on the other side. I think they were talking about on the broadcast, him and Kyle Bahalio, right?
Yeah.
I didn't distinctly remember it, but they did mention that. I was watching these fights on a ship at 1 a.m. Anyway, 11 seconds, eye poke, no contest, can't continue. I'm okay with a DQ. I am. Especially in a fight like this. I think you do have to give discretion for DQ or no contest based on the circumstances, right? If the fight is 11 seconds in, what is the point of sending it to the cards? You know, or what is the point of taking it away from him when it's just 11 seconds in? I mean, that doesn't seem necessary. You know, nothing happened in that fight other than a foul. Let's just take it off the books, make it a no contest, maybe run it back or something, you know? But yeah, if it's in a different time of the fight, you know, I think you can take the point and go to the cards, or if it's malicious, I think you can DQ them. If it's like bad, if you can look there and educatedly see, and you'll never know, but if you can see it through your eyes and like, this guy meant to hurt him with an eye poke, DQ him. Take the win away. Take the ability to win away. But I think it should be rare for an eye poke.
Okay.
Yeah. But like everything in MMA, it's very situational. There's no there's no one thing that can kind of cover every instance when you're talking about stuff like this. It's too broad. You got any other thoughts on fouls? Well, there weren't any more fouls, right? Because I didn't get the chance to watch the whole card.
I'm sure someone got some warnings for fence grabbing and other low blows throughout the night.
How many low blows? I'm sure it's probably like 3 or 4. Paul Felder used to keep a count.
I hate the idea that a kick can land clean, and the actual weapon that's used for striking, like the toes to the gut.
Sure.
It lands on the belt line. And because the bottom of the foot grazes the cup, it's a low blow. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah. I don't have a strong opinion on that right now, because that is tricky. That's going to take us down another road, and I have to think about that. It's definitely murky water.
There was an inside leg kick where 99% was on the inside of the leg, and it just grazed the bottom, and it's a full on low blow. Entire strike is disregarded. Fighter gets 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's a whole nother can of worms. That's a whole nother conversation. For me anyway, because it is tricky. Let's table that one.
Okay.
Let's table that one for today. Let's get on with contested rounds. And by the way, the unanimity report for UFC Vegas, number 85. 85 of these things. 21 out of 25 rounds were in agreement. Really good percentage, 84%. One of these was an 8-9 split, so the judges were only on a different page with regard to the winner 3 times out of 25. That's a good weekend, I think. And really, you take away the main event, everyone was having a terrific weekend. This is just the one.
Main event got a little hairy.
It did. I don't know that we're in crazy territory necessarily with any of these. I don't know how you feel, but
I don't think so.
Yeah. But we'll dive into it, of course. This is Imavov against Dolidze. It was a majority decision. One of our judges had it as a draw. The other scores were 49-44 and 48-46 for Imavov. So that's kind of a
49-44.
You're not going to see these scores happen a whole lot. You know what I mean? Yeah. We've got round 1. We've got round 2. We've got round 4. So let's start off with round 1, man. What's happening here?
I thought it was pretty competitive, especially early on. I think Imavov has that slight edge standing. I was really thinking, I was like, man, something crazy must happen, we're talking about Nate here. And then something does. He hurts Dolidze towards the, like the final minute-ish area of the round. And Dolidze looks hurt, and he's eating some huge shots for like 15 seconds straight. Gets his back taken, continues to eat some unanswered shots as he's trying to stand up. I don't think these are hurting him. At least they don't appear to be. The portion before that put them in this situation, I thought those were really solid. I think we have good damage. And I think there is a small duration check mark here. Maybe
it's probably not the ideal amount of it. Yeah.
Slight pencil it in.
Sure.
I do like the 8 because I thought the damage was good.
I think the 8 escalated very quickly for damage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, yeah, because it like really didn't go anywhere, and you could just tell how badly hurt Dolidze was in that situation because he's just eating shots. And look, I don't know how much the judges are really able to evaluate this because the round has ended, but when Dolidze gets up, he is in trouble.
He's wobbly.
You can tell he's in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if a judge like kind of can sneak a peek and just say like, how is he getting up? Because that's not that much more time before you put your score down. And it does allow you to kind of see, hey, where did the actions of that kind of result in an easier way. So I don't know how judges would side on that. I'm curious.
I mean, I can understand why they're on the fence here. I just prefer to cross over it.
Yeah. I'm with you too. It was kind of a tough call for it. It's a very strange situation. Yeah. But this is why I feel like damage ought to just be like one of the main things most of the time. Like if you've hit damage to a high degree, an 8 should be on the table. Yeah. Or a 7 if it's an overwhelming degree.
See, I think, well, because once the bell rings, you're done. So you're really not supposed to see how the guy's walking back to his corner.
I understand that.
And the rest of the fight stays on the ground. So you don't really know how badly he may be hurt. He looks in a bad way when he first goes down. And he eats some big shots, like we said. But then he is standing up on like all fours, with Imavov on his back, of course.
Well, that's why I asked. Like, judges probably aren't meant to do this. I don't know. But do they do this? Because that's almost like a murky area where, like, if they're not supposed to do it, you almost kind of want them to be able to do it. Even just for a beat. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Just be able to see what's going on for, like, 3 seconds.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Assess how truly hurt he is.
It just helps to assess the action that already happened over the course of 5 minutes. I don't think that's bad to do.
It's more information.
But hey, would a regulator like that? I don't know. Is Jeff Mullen going to be happy if a judge tells him, "Oh, I saw him do that"? Maybe not. Likely not. In fact,
Probably
I would
not,
guess.
yeah.
But I'm curious to see if that's kind of one of those things that, hey, they can fudge and maybe get away with, because realistically, it's still a good way. Not for nothing. It's a better way to assess what happened.
It's like that.
I think it's fair.
Sneaky glove grab.
Yeah, I think it's all right. But yeah, so I did cross over that 8 too, just like you. But I totally get why this was a hard call. Maybe not the call that judges Sal D'Amato and Ron McCarthy were willing to make, and they gave it 9 here. But yeah, so I have the 8. You have the 8. Derek Cleary has the 8. He's the out judge, but he's our judge here. What does that mean for Judge Cleary?
Couchside over.
That was a good one. Right?
That was a good one.
He deserves it because that was a tricky call. I like it. I like the guts, the chutzpah. I didn't have the good accent there too, or the good little thing. But yeah, he hit that. Good job on that one. But again, could have gone either way. Cleary, by the way, I should mention, because the scores are so varied in this, and I don't want to say wacky. They're varied here. It was Derek Cleary who did give that 49-44 card, the most lopsided of the 3. Sal D'Amato had the 48-46, and Ron McCarthy had the draw at 47. Let's go on to round 2 though, because I was the only one that was the 8-9.
Yeah, I think Imavov, especially at distance, is the more effective fighter. It's close. Neither guy really landed too much in the clinch. I don't think much is going on. Dolidze's throwing some knees, majority of them being Storleys, some punches, some foot stomps. I like the striking from Imavov being more effective than what Dolidze did. He did land a couple strikes here and there, but low output, not much to score for this round really. I scored for Imavov 10-9.
Yeah, not a great round, especially after such a big round from Imavov the first round, and he is kind of a volume guy. So like to see that just get neutralized, I don't know if he like needed a break or took a round off or what the deal was, because obviously he scored so real big in that first round. Why would you even give back the momentum like he did? I had it for Dolidze. Like you said, low volume, low output, not a whole lot happening. There's like 4 strikes at the end of the round that each of them landed. Yeah. Those are like almost the whole round. Like everything else is kind of almost neutral. And I gave by a hair Dolidze, but I was very close to Imavov here. Same judges, by the way, majority minority here. Judges D'Amato and McCarthy had Dolidze just like I did. Derek Cleary had it for Imavov as the out judge. You sided with Derek Cleary here, so you're all about the Cleary case. Through 2 rounds. No agreement among us.
No.
We're mortal enemies now. We're going to skip to round 4 here. This is the last of the split rounds, contested rounds in the main event. So what's happening here?
I thought this was a decent round. I think Imavov has the clear advantage on the feet, landed some solid shots. Dolidze ends up in a situation that we mentioned before, and he puts himself as the grounded guy and gets kicked in the face.
Really dumb by Imavov. Can't stress enough. That was so dumb.
The points deducted, rightfully so, in this situation, since it is a foul. Hopefully it's no longer a foul.
Hopefully not much longer. And they should do what everyone keeps saying on social media about the 12 to 6 elbows. Give John Jones his win back. They should absolutely. They should give the point back to Imavov here.
I am on,
and every other fight ever.
I'm on board with John getting a win for that.
Let's overturn it. It's not gonna matter.
It matters to me. Anyway, on restart, Dolidze is a madman, which actually forces a clinch from Imavov. But Dolidze is the one that gets the takedown, doesn't really do much. Back on the feet, Imavov lands some good ones. Dolidze landed a couple good ones. I don't think he really ever surpassed anything Imavov did, so I'm on Imavov 10-9.
Yeah, same. You have to obviously discount the kick. That doesn't play into it, sure. No. But I still think Imavov has it. Imavov's a frustrating fighter, because you can tell that there's moments where he can take over a fight. But then there's moments where he's just not doing it for one reason or another. I don't know that was because of Dolidze or not. I mean, we've got some more film of Imavov in different fights, and I feel like this is a recurring thing I've seen from him. Maybe I'm not being fair, But yeah, it's not what you want to be, especially if he's going to become a contender or something like that. You know, like in theory, you get a win like over Dolidze, who's kind of like in the maybe the outside of the mix, right? Not by much. This should put him in a better position. You know, recent loss is to Sean Strickland, which is not that bad a loss now. Certainly looks pretty good.
Definitely not now. Yeah.
Ever since he went on to win the title, right? But like, he's just going to run into guys who are not going to give him that break. I don't think that someone like the champion right now, Drix du Plessis, is going to give that kind of break to him. I think he's going to pour it on. It's going to be a problem. But as far as the scoring, yeah, we're on the same page. We saw it the same, technically a 10-9 all the way to a 9-9 because of the point deduction. We had it for Imavov as the round win. Judges Cleary and D'Amato had that, whereas Ron McCarthy gave the round to Dolidze, which makes it a 10-8 on his card. That is how he ended up at a draw. Definitely one of those fights that I walked away from saying, well, Imavov definitely won. No question.
Yeah.
I mean, he lost the point. That's on him. But you look at this and it's like, man, the work that was being done by Dolidze when he won these rounds is just so small.
Yeah, that goes back to last week where past judgment.
Yeah.
You know, the Wonder Boy rounds were small, but the Woodley rounds were big.
Yeah. Just it nags at me that we can't get a scoring system. And I don't know what you would do here to get it there, you know, but there should be a scoring system that makes it easier for
I think
rounds to be differentiated.
I think with a little more lenient 10-8, everyone's on it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
One,
absolutely.
so.
We're only talking about it. We're talking about an 8 or a 7 at that point.
Yeah.
I think. And that definitely makes it easier for Judge McCarthy in this case, probably to, and probably Judge D'Amato. I imagine they'd be both at least at an 8. So then you wouldn't even have a draw on the card because, look, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme, but you look at this and it's like, man, this fight wasn't as close as a draw, even with the point deduction. But you can defend. Ron McCarthy can absolutely defend his scorecard. Of course. I want to stress that his card is defensible.
And
but it's also one of those ones that you look at it, it's like, really?
But also with the point taken,
sure,
he has Imavov winning.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly. So no one's at fault other than the system, man. It's the system, man.
It is.
Yeah. Only one more round to go, man, and it is in that heavyweight fight.
I was so disappointed when this started the card. It like took me out. It was like, oh, all right, I gotta go deal.
But
I gotta get out of here.
No, but here's the thing. I love the heavyweight curtain jerker because you can just skip it.
Get it over.
You just say, all right, it's not going to interrupt the flow of anything. It's like, listen, you're telling me this starts at 5:30? I'll tune in at 6.
Yeah, but to be honest, it started out as such an interesting fight until they got tired.
I'll be honest. I saw that I only had to watch one round of this, and I watched only one round of this fight.
Yeah, I actually...
It was heavyweight MMA. I'm not going to watch more than I need to.
I thought rounds 1 and 2, for the most part, were actually pretty entertaining, pretty decent fight.
All right.
So,
well, I'm not going to go back to watch it, but I'll trust you. We're talking about round 3, though. Jamal Pogues getting the win over Thomas Peterson, like we said. Peterson in his debut. The scores were 29-28 and a 30-27, but only round 3 is split here. Pogues won the first 2 rounds. Sounded like the judges, or not the judges actually, but the live scores, the live odds,
the live scores and
were leaning toward Peterson through 2 rounds when I tuned in. I was like, okay. And I knew the result at this point, so I was kind of surprised.
So I think their algorithm goes off numbers, and I think Peterson did have the volume edge in both of these first rounds. So
you're probably right.
It's possible that threw it off.
It feels like the bettors have ways to make money if they understand how fights are scored.
If they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Live betting.
From a live betting perspective, exactly. But anyway, so yeah, let's talk about this round 3. Because it's our job.
Round 3, close round on the feet, pre-eye poke.
Yeah.
Post-eye poke, I think Peterson pulls ahead. Simple as that. It happened completely on the feet.
It was later in the fight that happened, though.
Yeah. But I thought it was close before that. Post that, I thought Peterson takes it. So 10-9 him.
I had Pogues a little further ahead before the poke.
Okay.
So because of that, I didn't quite get Peterson. Obviously, Peterson, you're right. He does win after the poke when he has diminished his opponent. Imagine that. That's why you take the point. And I just couldn't quite get him over the top. But it was close. It's no reason you couldn't go the other way. Even this round wasn't a terrible round of heavyweight MMA. I can imagine this being a perfectly, probably upper tier heavyweight MMA fight.
Honestly, they had better cardio than expected.
For a couple guys who weighed in over 260, yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Better cardio.
Yeah.
So,
and Pogues in particular does not have, let's say, the most ideal physique if he was to become a pro wrestler, right?
Well, wrestling's his weak point, according to DC. He's
Well, I'm just saying, yeah.
Peterson completely gave up on his wrestling.
Well, you know
very early in the fight.
You know how that sexual predator Vince McMahon loves guys with amazing physiques.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Vince
Purported
is
sex
gone.
offender. Yes.
Vince is gone.
Yeah.
He's done.
Mm-hmm. But the legacy lives on, and that is it. That is it from this weekend's warehouse fights.
More warehouse fights.
Well, we'll get to those in a second. We want to talk about the finishes.
Yeah,
finishes here. 5 of them. 4 by there was no straight up KOs. It was all TKO. Is that what it was?
T/KO. T.
I'm sure if I mean, they're not drastically different, but you know, it's always curious. If they
I don't think there was actually any KOs.
Okay, that's what I was.
But I'm not
at,
sure.
Yeah. Anyway, too bad there's no way to verify that.
There is. I'm just not.
Fair enough. Four fights end by strikes. 1 fight ends by submission. 4 fights ended in the first round. That doesn't count the no contest, right?
This is not including the no contest.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought about putting that in there, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I watched all the finishes, but it's been a day.
Mm-hmm.
it's been a long time. What was your finish?
Meatball
favorite?
Molly.
Mm-hmm. Noted striker.
Telling everyone to shove it with a buzzer beater armbar that looked like definitely broke or dislocated Belbit's arm.
Yeah, Laura Sanko said it definitely popped. I think she's right.
She was in pain. So I mean, I really appreciate this because she was just striking for a while, and then the clacker went off, and she's like, "All right, give me that arm, let me rip it off." And
a woman after your own heart.
I did like that. So
yeah.
What about you?
So I had a tough call. I was between Tamagarimbo with his knockout, which was quick, and it was a fun overhand. It was a sloppy overhand that kind of landed in the right spot and just put him down, right? Because he's got a lot of power. And he's got a great mission that he wants to do in Zimbabwe, help people there. But I did go with Randy Brown because him punching a hole straight through Muslim Salikov's chest with that straight right was violent and just deadly accurate.
They were saying he called that combo in the fighters meeting with DC and Laura Sanko.
I missed that. That's interesting.
They said he was going 1-1-2 is what Laura Sanko kept saying he was calling, and that he hit double jab and right hand.
Yeah, that particular right was just I mean, his fist basically stopped like about 2 feet past the chin where it landed. So he really he didn't just throw a punch. He punched right through. Which, hey, if you got it, boom, that you got to do.
So that just triggered something in my head. You watched Kingdom?
I have seen 1 episode of Kingdom.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind then.
I keep meaning to go back to it, but as you know, Dan, I've been watching a lot of That 70s Show.
Yes,
which I'm sure you're proud of.
We're all right.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind for if you do ever go back to it, punching through something.
Okay.
Keep that in mind.
All right, I will. I will get back to that. I don't know if I'm gonna love it, but I feel like I have to watch it.
It is such the dirty side of the sport.
Well,
so
look,
I guess that's more interesting.
One of my favorite shows of all time, and maybe you feel this way too. I think you know what I'm going to say.
Yes,
Playmakers.
Yeah, that was a good show.
It was an amazing football show on ESPN. I love that show. I hate that the NFL probably torpedoed it because they're like, even though it wasn't the NFL, they're like, yo, this makes us look bad. It's like, well, your players make you look bad. You guys make you look bad. So maybe it's you guys. But anyway, they did shoot down that show. It's probably the same idea, right? Am I wrong, or I haven't watched?
I guess it's similar. What I took away from that is I was just shocked knowing Omar Gooding from Smart Guy, and then now he's in Playmakers.
What was the show on Nickelodeon? Do you remember the show?
I do know. I know exactly what you're talking. I don't know the name of the show though.
Wild and Crazy Kids.
Wild and Crazy Kids.
Yes. That's how I knew him from first. He was also on Hanging with Mr. Cooper, which I love that show. I used to watch it with my mom. Omar Gooding. Yeah, he was kind of a not nice guy.
No.
Loves cocaine though.
Hey.
Sure did.
Hey, who doesn't?
I don't.
I don't either. All right. It was just such a layup.
I know. But anyway, yeah. So that was. I guess that I'll keep that in mind, right? Not the cocaine thing, but when I'm watching Kingdom. Yeah. Speaking of watching old MMA things, I was talking to you about this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I have a confession to make. I'll make this on the air. Look, I've definitely seen some of the old fights, and when I say old, I mean like no holds barred days. I've seen some of them, and I've seen pieces of things, but I never sat down, especially way back, and I never sat down and just watched UFC 1 or UFC 2 or UFC 3. I never watched them, and I kind of want to do that. I feel like I just need to do it. It's like the sport is almost like a different thing entirely from what it was, but I feel like I gotta watch it. So I was thinking, and as you know, Dan, sharing with our listeners here, I think what we should do is every week you and I should watch, and I don't know how much you had watched of these over time.
Yeah, I've seen most.
Are you bleeding?
Yeah, I just picked the scab.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Dan's just covered in blood now.
What are you gonna do?
God. Appropriate given what we're talking about, of course, because we're gonna watch those No Hold Barred days.
Just bleed.
How much have you watched of those? Are you like me, or have you watched more than me?
So I've watched more than you.
Okay.
I've definitely seen 1 through 10. I don't recall the teens. I definitely seen, I think it's 33 is the first Zuffa event, or 39, something like that.
Is it 30? I could have swore it was even earlier, but maybe you're not.
Because I remember whatever when Zuffa took over and they actually started making the DVDs and everything. Blockbuster clearance rack every Friday. I was it was like 2 for $10. I just stocked up on them.
Yeah, I've seen them.
So
they're in a pile somewhere, and I think they used to be in this room. But yeah, so what I think we should do, Dan, is I only want to go through like basically the NHB period, right before it was really declared to be mixed martial arts, right?
The human cockfighting period.
Yeah, we'll call it that. No holds barred days.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. So I think it's like the first 17 UFCs were like tournament format, right?
So
and then after that, they moved. There was like one more. I want to say like in Japan, maybe. Is that the one that
we should watch the
Sakuraba
Prides too.
I mean, we should do that too. But I've actually seen a lot more of the Prides than I have of the early UFC days. Maybe we'll be selective about that. But let's go through. Once a week. We can talk about it a little bit on the show. Just a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Well, once a week we're gonna watch one of those UFCs all the way through 17.
Okay.
Sound good with you?
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
So we'll start with 1 for next week.
Yeah. I think we could do that. But that's to kind of put a bottle cap on UFC Vegas 85. That's it for that one. Let's move on to the next warehouse show, UFC Vegas 86. I think this has a little bit more appeal in terms of its middleweight main event, which as middleweight main events go, why do they keep giving them to us in 2024? 3 out of 4 fights, main events, middleweight.
Here's the thing. I like Jack Hermanson and I love
Jack Hermanson. I know you like Joe Pyfer.
The thing is, I'm kind of shocked Joe Pyfer's getting a main event so fast.
I'm not. They're pushing him hard. And he's good. Like, he is good. I think he's proved he belongs.
I agree.
Hermanson's a big step up. I don't know if that's the right step,
like,
but it's a good step. I think, hey, why not? Let's see how he does. That's okay.
Hey, why not? Let's see how Bo Nickel does in a title fight.
This is very different than that.
Let's go.
This is so different. You could put Bo Nickel in there against Jack Hermanson. That'd have been okay.
I've been cool with that.
I'd be fine with that, but neither way. I like this fight as far as middleweight
I know
main events go. It's fine. It's better than the last one.
It's a big jump from Abdul Razak Al Hassan to Jack Hermanson.
Yeah, but Al Hassan hits really hard, and he passed that test. Hermanson, very tricky on the ground. Let's see how he does with that test.
Yeah,
They're just throwing different challenges at him. I like it. I do.
You're usually
I don't know
against
if he'll pass
pushing.
it, but I don't think it's that crazy. I think he's actually accomplished a little bit, Joe Pyfer. He's a prospect, but he's not like... Bo Nickel's very new to MMA.
To the whole
Joe
sport.
Pyfer's not quite that.
All right.
I've seen prospects come up, and this is it's a tough test. It's maybe just a little higher, but it's I think it's fine.
Honestly, at middleweight, you can do anything.
And they need new blood. Actually, they need new blood. So you know what? Go for it. Do you? This was fine. I have no problem with this matchmaking. I really don't. So I'm all in. Obviously, it's in Nevada, so we'll get the same type of judges who hopefully once again turn in another great week. We had one last week. We'll hopefully have another one this week, and maybe we'll actually have referees that take points for eye pokes that really damage their opponent. But there are none, so that is what it is. I challenge you, referees, take points.
Eric McCracken made a comment.
Take points, you cowards.
He said MMA fighters, you get 1 eye poke, 2 low blows, and 5 free fence grabs. Use them wisely.
I know. I'm always joking about that too. But you're right. Eric is on point for that one. Other fights on the card. I like Danny Gay, Andre Feely. That's a fine fight. They're fun. They always come to bang. This is actually not a step up for Feely, but it's I think it's the first time he's fought a ranked guy. So it's good to see. He's been grinding for a while. Brad Tavares.
Versus Hobocop.
Yeah,
Robocop or Hobocop? How do you say it?
I believe we're still calling him RoboCop, even though he is Brazilian.
Okay.
Hobocop would imply a different thing, at least in
okay.
English. Brad Tavares fights are strange because they're not boring, but they're not overly exciting generally, which is weird because so many Hawaiians come to really bang, like Danny Gay usually does. And
I think
not that Brad Tavares doesn't come to bang, but usually his fights are a little more measured, a little, I don't know. There's like a cap in how exciting a Brad Tavares fight's going to be.
I think it comes from his tough. The other, Brazilian characteristic is that they're typically very tough.
Oh, we're talking about RoboCop now?
Hawaiians, I said.
Oh, yes, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Gregory Rodriguez, I'm always interested in him. Like to see what Obama does this week. And that's what we'll see what's happening in the cage there. This is the one that you highlighted those two before I even got to this, but this was one I picked out. Max Griffin against Jeremiah Wells at welterweight. I like this one.
Yeah.
Max Griffin comes to bang.
I like
His
Max
fights
Griffin,
get very bloody, and they're usually fun. Jeremiah Wells has been interesting too. So I think sleeper fight of the night.
Okay.
Sleeper. We'll say.
And the near 500 Michael Johnson still going.
You never know what you're getting with Michael Johnson. I almost highlighted that one too. Who's he fighting again?
Darius Flowers.
Darius Flowers. I'm not familiar with that name, so I think that was the main reason I didn't highlight that one. But you never know what you're getting with Michael Johnson because he comes out there and he can beat anybody or he can lose to anybody.
He's really hot and cold.
And the fact that his record is basically 500 after what 24, 25 fights, something like that.
40.
No.
In the UFC.
In the UFC in
I'm
particular.
Not sure.
I think. But yeah, it's very indicative of the fighter he actually is.
He's 13-15 in the UFC.
I'll put it this way. I will be stunned that if he doesn't lose in the first round, I'll be stunned if he loses the first round.
Okay.
He always wins the first round and then almost always blows it somewhere if he doesn't actually get that finish. You look back at his record, man, he wins a lot of first rounds. He really does. It's remarkable how many he wins and versus how many fights he actually ends up losing. But I'm interested to see how that goes, I guess, just because of him. You never know. It's a crapshoot.
He beat Dustin Poirier.
He beat Dustin Poirier at a main event. In a big spot, and then he goes out and gets destroyed by Khabib. But,
Yeah.
most people got destroyed by Khabib when they fought them. Most likely contested rounds. Well, you picked this one out, sir. Why don't you tell me?
Rodolfo Vieira and Armin Petrosian.
Why'd you pick this one?
I don't know.
All right, I like it.
I just wanted to get Vieira mentioned.
But you're not super excited for it?
I think it's gonna be a good fight.
Okay. All right.
Maybe not to everyone, but I think it'll be an interesting fight for me.
Well, I'm gonna say it's a round one submission so that we don't talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
We'll see, because otherwise Vieira might get a little tired and then it won't be fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Go clean the blood off yourself.
Yeah. All right, that's it. We'll be back again next week. I may have something interesting to talk about.
That's right. There's some things in the works. We'll hopefully be able to share, especially from Dan.
Yep, and otherwise we'll still be back with the warehouse fights.
Yay, warehouse fights and the Super Bowl. We're actually going to record before the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl, so we won't know who won.
We'll just pretend we saw it.
Taylor Swift is definitely in the building.
So well, honestly, I don't even know if she's supposed to be.
Oh, she'll be there.
You think so?
Yeah.
My wife hopes so.
Thanks for listening.
Take care, y'all.